Hello, I am Shankar Roy. I am from Howard University. I am associated with a research project at Howard, which is run by the Professor Jiang Li, and this project is supported by NSF Gini. The topic is how we can emulate an opportunistic mobile wireless networks on Rutgers University's Orbit Lab. So basically we have two goals. The first thing is to collect the emulation results out of these experiments on this orbit test bed. And the next thing is we'll also evaluate the usability of Gini interfaces of this test bed. Now let me give a background on Pgn network. It is nothing but a special type of disruption tolerant network. So to cut the story short, it has a message carrier, we call it Pgn, and in this picture we can see just one part of the mobile wireless network, and here the Pgn moves around multiple hosts. We call them host, and then the Pgn returns to the home host, which is the owner of the Pgn. So this network has a concept called Pgn's dedication to the home host. So that is basically the background of the Pgn network. Now here for this demo, the focus is how we can emulate this kind of DTN on orbit test bed. Just I'll give a little background on orbit test bed. It has an OMF interface. That is basically the main Gini interface an experimenter has to use to run an experiment. There is a concept called writing the experiment descriptor. So the experimenter basically writes down a script to describe his experiment, and then that script is run on the orbit test bed using the OMF interface. And orbit test bed also provides two important services. One is the measurement service called OML, and another one is result service. We use both of these services in our experiment. Now I will just give a summary of what we basically do on this orbit test bed. We talked about the Pgn network, which has multiple host nodes. One is home host and others are foreign host, and another node is the message carrier. So we can understand that these nodes have different roles. So to emulate these different nodes, we have to first build different emulation programs, which will be running on the orbit test bed using different physical nodes. Now, we can see that there are two main elements of this work, which an experimenter has to use. The first thing is he has to write the experiment description called ED, and that experiment description basically will invoke the other emulation programs. So here we can see an experiment description is running by OMF interface, and then we can see that on the orbit test bed, if we have to emulate say n+2 nodes, then we have to use the physical n+2 nodes, and we have to distribute which one will be the message carrier, the emulated message carrier, which one will be the home host, and which other n nodes will take the role of foreign host. Another important thing I should mention here, that how we emulate the mobile message carrier. We do it by packet filtering. So we can see that here one node on the test bed, which is the Pgn node, has two programs. One is the Pgn program and another is the topology controller program. And that topology controller program uses a packet filter to emulate the mobile Pgn. And then we also use the OML service so that the nodes can store the results during the experiment, and after the experiment, the experimenter can analyze that data. And another important thing which we did is that we built a visualization module. There we use the Orbit's result service. So our proxy server gets the live, the real-time experiment data from the OML server via this result service, and then JavaScript library is used to visualize this emulated network on the browser. And we also analyze the emulation results from the Orbit OML database server. And finally, we present some critiques. What are the strengths of this testbed? What are the limitations? And we give some suggestions how to improve it. Now let's go to the screen where I will show the emulated networks visualization. So here we can see that this visualization screen is showing one home host red node and other nodes are foreign hosts. They are all static, and one message carrier P green node is moving. That we can see here. And I should stress here that this is the real-time movement. So that means currently an experiment is running on the Orbit testbed, and my proxy servers is getting the real-time location information of this message carrier, and which is shown here on the screen. So this gives a real-time visualization. And on this other screen, we can see some command line messages just to see that it is synchronized with the other visualization screen. And here on this command line, we see when the Pgn arrives at one home host or one foreign host, how the messages are being picked up or being delivered. That is the main job the Pgn has to do at each node. Thank you.